New construction homes in Northern Virginia look absolutely perfect on Instagram with brand new kitchens, open layouts, and smart home tech everywhere. What's not to love, right? Well, if you're thinking about buying one, do not walk into that model home before watching this video. Because while the upgrades and incentives look very enticing, they come at a price with unexpected fees, potential timeline delays, and premium pricing. So in this video, I'll be breaking down the real pros and cons of buying a new construction home in Northern Virginia. And by the end, you'll be able to decide if it's actually the right move for you or not, and you're not gonna wanna miss it, so let's dive right into it. Boom! Hey everybody, it's David, your favorite realtor. So I personally bought a new construction home in Ashburn back in 2021, and I went through the whole process from dirt to full completion and taking delivery 7 months later. And I'm extremely grateful I went through the whole new construction home buying process because it gave me a front row seat to the good, the bad, and the ugly. So now I can make better videos and to help you avoid some of the mistakes that I almost made. So let's get the video started right now with the first pro of buying a new construction home in Northern Virginia with customization. So this is without question one of the biggest benefits to buying a new construction home is the ability to customize it during the home building process. So buyers get to choose structural options like bump outs, rooftop terraces, extra bathrooms, and finished basements, and then they get to pick design options like flooring, appliances, countertops, cabinets, and a lot more. And without question, this is probably the most exciting process of all of home buying, whether it's a resale or a new construction, because you can really make the home your own. Now, unfortunately, not every buyer gets to pick their options. And the first reason why you may not be able to pick your options is gonna depend on the build stage. So those empty lots, they don't stay empty until someone buys it. The builders have a schedule to stick to. And if the lot is unsold, they will start building anyways. And in this scenario, we'll pick out all of the options. Now, the good news about this scenario, in most cases, these homes are close to completion. So you can get the keys to your brand new home way sooner than buying it from the initial build stage. Now, the next reason why a lot of home builders are picking out all the options is just to streamline their home building process. Now, this scenario is a lot more common between 2021 and 2023, which was during the peak of the supply chain issues that we saw throughout the country. But builders picking out all the options is still happening today. So my personal new construction home community, I was lucky enough to be one of only a handful of people to pick out all their options. Because of the supply chain issues going on during 2021, the builder switched to picking out all the options. And I'll say this, if you end up buying a new construction home where the builder picked all the options, well, it's definitely not gonna be the end of the world. Because the builder, they wanna appeal to the masses, so they're gonna pick great options. And as a bonus, you're probably gonna save some money because it's very easy to go way overboard when you're picking out your design options. But if you are lucky enough where you get to pick out all of your options on your new construction home, well, this is without question one of the biggest pros to buying a new construction home overall. Now, the next pro to buying a new construction home in Northern Virginia is builder incentives. So most major builders in our area usually offer some sort of incentive, which is usually tied to using their in-house lender and sometimes tied to going under contract by a certain date. Now, the most common incentives I've seen throughout the years is usually a credit between $5,000 and $30,000, which you can use towards closing costs and sometimes design studio options. Now, this I can say about the incentives, they change all the time based on demand. For example, you can go to Community today and they're offering you a $30,000 credit, and you can come back 30 days later, and now they changed it to only a $10,000 credit. But if you're lucky enough where the builder is gonna pay all your closing costs, talk about a win. In fact, I just helped a client purchase a new construction home in Woodbridge, and he was using a VA loan, which is 0% down, plus the builder paid all his closing costs. So he literally bought a $650,000 new construction townhouse with zero money out of pocket. So I personally did not use the builder's in-house lender, and at the time they were offering me a $6,000 credit because when I went under contract in September of 2021, all signs were pointing towards rates going up in 2022, and their in-house lender was not offering a long-term rate lock. So I found a lender who would actually give me a 9+ month rate lock. Now, I did lose out on that $6,000 credit, but now I have a 3.25% interest rate compared to a 5.5% interest rate had I used the in-house lender. Builder incentives are fantastic, but you must crunch all the numbers and check out all of your options. But if the numbers make sense and you get all your closing costs paid by the builder, that is a win, and that is something you're not gonna get with most resale homes in our area. Now, as much as I love making YouTube videos about living right here in Northern Virginia, what I love even more is helping folks just like you relocate to the area. So if you're even thinking about moving to Northern Virginia, reach out to me, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. Just know I got your back when you're moving to Northern Virginia. Now the next pro is fewer repair headaches. So since everything in your home is brand new, you can expect far fewer repair issues the first few years. So you don't have to worry about immediately replacing the roof, the HVAC, or windows like you would with a 35-plus-year-old home in Reston. And this alone gives you peace of mind. So the first home I ever bought was built in 1994. In the first 18 months, I had to replace the HVAC, the washer dryer, and all the appliances. So looking back, I probably should have gone for new construction at the time. Now there's no such thing as a perfect house, and all homes are gonna have some sort of issues, but the chances of you getting major issues with the new construction the first few years are very low. And even if a major issue does arise, most likely it's still gonna be under warranty, and it most likely will get repaired or replaced for free. Use myself as an example. Literally 4 months after I took delivery of my new construction home, my fridge completely crashed out, but the builder replaced it literally within 3 days because it was still under warranty. So if you don't want to deal with the headache of immediate repairs or replacements, then new construction may be the way to go for you. Now the next pro of buying a new construction home in Northern Virginia is no bidding wars. So these past 4 years, our resale market has been extremely challenging for home buyers because there's been way more demand than the available supply of homes for sale, which causes a lot of homes, especially the best of the best homes, to get multiple offers. And this year alone, I've had clients go against 10 offers, 11 offers, 15 offers, even 25 offers. And let me tell you this, it's almost impossible to beat out 25 other offers. However, this is not the case with new construction, as it's first come, first serve. Basically, the first buyer to leave a deposit with the builder secures that home. So you don't have to suffer through losing 4 to 5 multiple offer scenarios before finally securing a home. So when I went under contract on my new construction home back in 2021, that was literally the peak of the bidding wars, and I'm so glad I did not have to deal with all that nonsense, because the last thing I wanted to do is way overpay for a house while getting zero home inspection. Now I have seen in other parts of the country where they actually take bids on new construction homes, but here in Northern Virginia, 98% of the time it is first come, first serve. So if you don't want to deal with the stress of a bidding war, then new construction may be perfect for you. Now the next pro is new construction homes feature modern layouts, finishes, and tech. So most new construction homes in Northern Virginia are built with the main level as the primary focus, with gourmet kitchens with oversized islands, taller ceilings, more windows, walk-in pantries, and open layouts where the dining and family room all flow together. So today's homes are gonna be completely different than that 1985 colonial you'll find in Fairfax. Also, builders know a lot of people work from home now, so you'll see many homes now being built with main level offices. So now you're not trying to turn your formal living room to a half office anymore. And on top of that, the tech is miles ahead of what it used to be, as most builders now include smart home packages like smart thermostats, keyless entry, video doorbells, plus pre-wiring for Wi-Fi, security cameras, and EV charging in the garage. So from day one, that house is basically plug and play ready for how people actually live and work in 2026. Now we're off to the cons, and the first con with buying a new construction home in Northern Virginia is you will pay a price premium for new construction versus a resale home. So new construction homes, they're not just a little bit more expensive, they are substantially more expensive than buying a resale home, and by a lot. So you're definitely paying a premium for shiny and new compared to an old and dated resale home literally just down the street. Now some aspects of new construction will actually be less than resale homes, like you have less immediate repairs and replacements to worry about, and sometimes the builder will pay for some or even all of your closing costs. So buying a new construction home can definitely be less cash out of pocket initially compared to buying a resale home. But it's a completely different story when it comes to the sales price. So the median sales price of a resale home in Northern Virginia comes out to $700,000. And then the median sales price of a new construction home in Northern Virginia comes out to $900,000. So new construction homes are 29% more expensive compared to resale homes. So even though you are paying a premium for a new construction home, between the savings in other areas plus all the pros of living in a newer home, I still think it's 100% worth the premium. Now the next con is potential delays. So new construction delivery dates can be subject to delays due to weather, supply chain issues, or labor shortages. And this can be extremely frustrating and inconvenient, especially if you're on a tight timeline for moving. And not to mention, you don't get any extra builder concessions if they don't deliver on time, because per most builder sales contracts, they have up to 4 years to deliver you the property. Now, I was very lucky not to have any delays with my personal new construction home, especially since it was during the peak of the supply chain issues. Now, the big boy builders like the Toll Brothers and Stanley Martins of the world, they're usually pretty good at delivering your home in the estimated time frame. However, they're not even immune to outside factors like supply chain issues and weather that can cause delays. In fact, a couple years ago, I had a client under contract to buy a new construction home, and the builder was 2 months late on delivering their home. So they were basically in limbo. They had already sold their previous home, so they had to rent a hotel for 2 months. And as you can imagine, paying for a hotel for 2 months is a lot of money. So just be prepared and have a backup plan just in case, in the event that your new home is not ready by the estimated delivery day. Now, the next con of buying a new construction home in Northern Virginia is advertised pricing. So without question, the advertised pricing is probably one of the most confusing parts about this whole process. So imagine this scenario. You're on Zillow checking out new construction homes, and you see this beautiful new construction single family home listed at $999,000. And initially, you're super excited because that is right in your price range, and you're literally ready to jump in your car, drive to that model home, and sign on the dotted lines. Well, unfortunately, that $999,000 list price is not the actual price. That is just the base price. In fact, the pictures you see online isn't even the actual home you would be buying. It's most likely pictures of the over-upgraded model. So that advertised price you see online, that is just the base price, as you still have to pick structural options, design options, lot fees, and a lot more. So that final sales price is gonna be a lot higher than the advertised price you see online. I'll use myself as an example. So the advertised price for my new construction townhouse back in 2021 was $580,000. My final sales price came out to $665,000. So I spent $85,000 above the base price. Now, the exception to the advertised price rule is some new construction communities will have what's called a spec home, and that's where the builder picks out all the options. They pick out the flooring, the cabinet, the countertops, structural options, and these homes are usually close to completion. So for these type of homes, the advertised price you see online is the actual sales price. Now, I know this is confusing, so if you happen to be online looking at new construction home listings and you're unsure if it's a spec home or that's just the base price, reach out to me, send me a text, send me an email, and I'll be able to get the right information for you. Now, the next con of buying a new construction home in Northern Virginia is upgrades can be a money trap. So we just talked about this, but that advertised price of the mid 900,000s is almost never the actual price people actually pay. Because by the time you add a decent lot, finished basement, nicer cabinets, quartz countertops, and hardwood on the main level, your final totals can be substantially more than the base price. In fact, on average, you can expect to spend $80,000 to $150,000 above the base price for a townhouse, and then $100,000 to $250,000 above the base price for a single family home. So that model home you toured is basically their Instagram filter of the house, as it's loaded with structural options and design center upgrades that most buyers don't even realize are upgrades until they see the pricing sheet. And then when you're actually sitting down at the design studio picking out your options, everything is positioned as, oh, it's just another $1,500 more. It's just another $2,000 more. Well, guess what? That $1,500 and $2,000 more, well, that adds up very quickly. The other thing to keep in mind is resale, as a buyer isn't going to give you dollar for dollar value in every single upgrade you picked, because they don't care that you went from level 2 to level 5 tile in the primary bathroom. Let me share with you an example. So new construction townhomes, they usually charge a $25,000 to $35,000 premium for the end unit. Now, when you go to resell that end unit, that does not mean that your house is automatically $25,000 more than your interior neighbor. Because when it comes to resale market, it's usually a $10,000 to $15,000 premium for an end unit. So right there, if you spend $35,000 for that end unit and you go to sell a few years later, you'd be losing $10,000 to $15,000 just like that. Now, I know this is easier said than done, but a smart way to play this out is have a hard budget up front and prioritize on your must-haves and things that are hard and expensive to change later on. Now, the next con is little room for negotiations. So this is not a rule, and it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, but 95% of the time, the price is the price. Now, in Fairfax and Arlington County, you have a lot of older homes, especially homes that are built in like the 50s and 60s. So what a lot of local developers do, they look for old condemned homes, they tear them down, and they build a beautiful new construction single-family home. Now, in these circumstances, they're definitely open to negotiations. But in the big master plan communities that are being built by the Toll Brothers of the world, they're not too open to negotiations. Now, let me share with you a few tips on increasing your odds of getting a price reduction on new construction homes. Well, the first tip is get pre-approved with their in-house lender, because once this happens, they view you as a serious and well-qualified buyer. Then make your offer realistic. Don't offer $800,000 on $1 million house, because they're gonna say no every single time. However, if you offer $980,000 on that $1 million house, now they're gonna be more willing to consider your offer. I've seen a lot of times in this scenario where the builder, they won't nudge on the sales price. However, they'll offer you an additional $15,000 credit, which you can use towards closing costs, buying down your rate, or design options. So yes, most of the time, the price is the price, but at least you're not dealing with bidding wars and having to pay way over asking price. Now the next con is one-sided builder sales contract. So every builder is gonna have their own sales contract, which is completely different than the standard Northern Virginia resale contract. Now the reason I bring this up is these builder contracts are very one-sided and mainly favor the builder. Let me explain. So once you get past the initial HOA resale documents review period, which is usually 3 to 5 days, well, you basically have no way to cancel the contract. You have no home inspection contingency, no appraisal contingency. Plus, they usually require large deposits at the time of signing, and they're usually anywhere from 5 to 10% of the sales price. And let me piggyback to the appraisal. So since there's no appraisal contingency in place, and let's say your appraisal comes in $15,000 light, well, guess what? You can't negotiate that. You can't cancel the contract. It is up to you to bring that $15,000 in cash to closing. So if you decide not to buy that house for whatever reason and default on the contract, you will lose your deposit. So a common clause I've seen in a lot of these builder sales contract is, if closing is delayed on your end for whatever reason, the builder can charge you $500 a day. So imagine you're 10 days late to closing, that is $5,000 out of pocket. That is a lot of money. So make sure before you sign on the dotted line that you and your realtor actually go through the whole contract, read the fine print. That way there'll be no surprises later on in the process. And if you want to learn more about living right here in Northern Virginia, check out these videos right here. They're gonna be great ways to continue your research, and I'll see you in the next video.